Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steehn with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Saturday edition of Today in Sports Betting, even though it's Friday. Weird, right? This is the show. This is one of my probably my favorite show of the week where Scott and I butt heads. We put our best three picks up against each other and let the chips fall where they may. I've pulled closer. I've pulled within two games of Mr. Reichel, going 2-1 last week. Pull my record to 13-13-1. Oh, that's a nice record for today. I didn't think about that. While Reichel went 1-2, 15-11-1 is his record for the year. Scott, you still salty about last week losing two games by how much?
I lost two games by a combined 1 point.
That's all right.
Yeah, half a point on two. Georgia State scored 52, didn't cover the number. Gave up 20 points in the second half to UL Monroe, got outscored by 10. They scored 42 in the first half. And then I lost Coastal, which they weren't really covering at any point, but they were driving late, and they ended up running some type of jet sweep to ice the game, and the guy got tackled at the 2-yard line.
Well, they win that one 17-0, is that right?
No, they won that game. I want to say it was like 23-6 or something.
23-6, okay. I knew
something
that.
like that. But either way, Coastal ended up getting tackled at the 2-yard line in the final play of the game.
Then you had Fresno, and they took care of business.
Yep.
I had the Arkansas State Lafayette under 68. That
wasn't even close. That was a sweat-free winner.
That Arkansas State team has fallen off the cliff.
What'd they have, 6 points in the first half?
Not good.
Like combined?
Another one talking about a no-sweat game. I had Liberty plus 15.
Yep. I thought about giving that out, and I chose something else. So nice job by you on that one.
Good call there, my friend. And my massive fade UMass fell short by 3.5 points. We were giving away 44.5 with Marshall, and they win by 41. So heartbreaking development. They let UMass score 10 points, and I knew when I saw UMass with 10 points, I was going to be screwed.
Mm.
They just couldn't let them get the double digits.
Marshall tried to get you there though in the fourth quarter with like the backup offenses. They went for it on fourth and I think it was 5 inside of the UMass 20.
Yep.
So it didn't work out, but they tried.
Yeah, they gave it a shot. They gave it a shot to cover. So that was a pretty good week. Could have been a little better, but you know what? I didn't lose 2 games by half a point. So I ain't bitching.
That's fair.
Let's talk about this week, shall we? Losers walk, my friend. What do you got?
Yeah, so you're not used to saying that, but yes. First pick that I'm going with is going to be in the Pac-12. These are in no particular order once again. It's going to be on the USC-Arizona game, and I'm going to take USC minus the 14 at minus 113 on DraftKings. A couple reasons why I like USC in the spot. First of all, I know they probably should have lost to Arizona State. I mean, hell, there was a 99.9% chance that Arizona State was going to win that game. I think Arizona State and Herm Edwards usually have pretty good teams that don't really get enough credit in the Pac-12. Arizona, if you didn't know this, is projected to be the worst team in the conference. They are awful. I know Kevin Sumlin is still there. They lost Khalil Tate, who's been their quarterback for what felt like 35 years.
Right.
Around for a long time. They have an okay offense. I'm going to be honest, their offense is okay. But their defense leaves a lot to be desired. And USC, after barely escaping against Arizona State, you got to assume they're going to be fully focused for this game because they completely came out flat and they almost lost and they almost were out of the top 25. And if USC in a 6-game season is going to be making a conference title game, which is what they hope to do for the first time in a couple of years, they can't overlook anybody. So I think USC should be able to probably score 40-plus points in this game. I think Slovis will have a nice solid game after looking really sharp in the fourth quarter. I think USC is going to just score too many points, and I think Arizona will struggle to keep up. So my first play is going to be on USC minus 14 and minus 113 on DraftKings. I think they'll probably win 42-20. Okay. You have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah,
it's mostly a fade of Arizona.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what to make of Slovis yet. He's certainly got the pedigree. It looks like he has the skill set, but he seems inconsistent so far. But
he is, but I feel like Arizona State just simply has better personnel to combat the heavy pass game that USC likes to deploy. So I think that Arizona's secondary is going to struggle. I think up front they're going to get manhandled. But I just think that Arizona State is a very, very solid defensive team. So
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that USC struggled a little bit.
Well,
I don't think Arizona is good in defense at all.
And Herm's the king of the cover too. So it's always going to be a challenge to pass against that team if you're not used to playing cover two, which a lot of teams in college don't play cover two. So yeah, it's certainly a different animal this week with Arizona.
You've seen Arizona's defense the last couple of years. I expect them to look a lot worse than Arizona State when it comes to playing defense on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't hate it. All right, for my first pick, Scott, I had to call an audible here. I was going to ride Coastal, and that game was canceled today. So had to call an audible here with my first pick, and I landed on the Colorado Buffaloes catching 7 in the hook from Stanford. I think this Buffaloes team is a little underrated, and I think Stanford gives a lot of name recognition. I think this number is a little bit. I think it's high. I think it's about 2.5 free points high. I will take the Colorado Buffaloes. Fun fact, Scott. You know that thing that runs onto the field and the thing that's on their logo?
Yeah.
You know that's not a buffalo, right?
The damn shame.
It's a bison. It's a bison.
Well, it's the same thing that's on Buffalo. That's Buffalo's mascot.
Yes. Also not buffalo.
Correct. It's a buffalo bison and a Colorado non-buffalo.
Yes, we had this argument in my family. We had to go to the Google box.
I'm just saying. I remember that the mascots looked very, very similar back in the day. I think they literally were both bison.
Although, anything in North America, it's a bison. It's not a buffalo. There's only buffaloes are in Asia and in Africa.
Yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings sounds so much better than Bison Wild Wings.
Yes, that's very true. Very true. So I'm gonna. This is a Colorado State. This is a Colorado team that can absolutely put points on the board.
I think that was the most underrated game on the card last week was the Colorado UCLA game.
Yeah,
the game was crazy.
48-42, buddy.
It was 48-42, and UCLA was down. What were they down? 28 in the first half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was close.
Colorado came out and curb stomped them early. So I think they can take care of business against the trees up there. I was going to look and see here if you wanted to get fancy, you could play at plus 250 on the money line. I don't hate that either. I wouldn't be mad at you if you want to take a little stab at the Buffaloes. So yeah.
Yeah, well, we talked about this before we went on air. I know that Davis Mills, the original starting quarterback for Stanford, did not play in the opener because of a potential false positive COVID test.
Right.
Having said all that, we talked about it on air and before, and I got to mention it on air again. Is there a more overrated coach just based on coaches getting recommended in circles whenever there's an open job than David Shaw?
Other than Lane Kiffin, yeah, maybe not.
I don't get it.
I agree.
I used to like Shaw, and I realize in hindsight I had to like him because he literally had Andrew Luck, who's a generational college talent. So
and then segued right into Christian McCaffrey, who he did not a great job at utilizing, in my opinion.
McCaffrey almost won a Heisman, so he didn't do a bad job utilizing McCaffrey either.
But he didn't. I don't think he was able to utilize his pass catching abilities as much as.
That's fair. The issue I have with Shaw, which is also why I kind of like your Colorado play, is the fact that if it's 4th and goal in the red zone, he's kicking. He's kicking, and their kicker was 0 for 4 last week. Shaw there's conservative coaches like Anthony Lynn, and then you have David Shaw.
Yeah.
David Shaw at this stage in his career is on a separate level of conservative. He's the most conservative coach I've ever seen. And that's not a good thing.
He's to the right of Ronald Reagan is what you're saying.
It's an argument because he coaches like he's still in the 1980s.
That's very true. That's very true. When you saw a lot of totals at 41, by the way.
Watching Stanford is painful because they can throw the ball a little bit, but of course they love to pound the rock. And if it is 4th and inches on anywhere on the field in field goal range with an awful kicker, Shaw's kicking. And that's perfect for an underdog because A, the kicker's bad. B, if the team is going to settle for 3 all the time, you're setting yourself up with a ton of chances to cover spreads.
Yeah.
So it's mostly a fade of Stanford because Shaw should have left to the NFL after Andrew Luck left, and he stuck around, and it's just been going from bad to worse.
Hasn't gone well. Give me the not Buffaloes plus 7.5. What's your second pick?
My second pick is going to be on my school, actually. It's going to be on Wisconsin. I'm going to take the -4 against Michigan. I know it's in the Big House. I know it's a night game. Mostly a fade of Michigan. Wisconsin is expected to get Graham Mertz back, who, of course, had arguably the best debut in the history of college football for a quarterback. In one incompletion, threw 5 touchdowns. He was basically flawless. I know Illinois is terrible, so I am expecting a much worse performance against Michigan. Having said all that, it appears Joe Milton is the next batch of extremely overhyped Michigan quarterbacks who aren't very good.
Hey, speaking of overrated coaches.
Harbaugh?
Yeah.
That has not gone too well this season. Now, I don't expect them to quit on him. Their schedule has been okay in terms of toughness, but you can't lose to Michigan State.
No.
Michigan State is so bad.
No.
You can't lose that game, and then you compound the issue by losing to Indiana. I know Indiana's a top 10 team now.
Are they?
Indiana had not beaten Michigan since the 1980s. I think. It was 1990. Like, it was at least 20-something years.
Yeah.
And they weren't even close. They got blown out as soon as the game started. Michigan right now looks lost on both sides of the ball. Defensively, they're not very good. Milton's not a great quarterback. The ground game's okay. I know Wisconsin hasn't played in a couple of weeks, but they're getting everybody back who had COVID, which I think is a huge boost. Mertz definitely helps behind center because he's clearly the better quarterback in this matchup. And Wisconsin, up front, should manhandle Michigan because Michigan's defensive line is not as good as it usually is. Right. I think Wisconsin should win this game by about a touchdown. Michigan with Harbaugh, I don't want to say they're quitting on the season, but there's not much going right now. So
well, we're gonna find out because this is a game. The only reason
they fall behind early,
yeah,
pack your bags at that point.
The only reason I don't love your play is because this is a Michigan team that is absolutely in total desperation mode here.
I thought that last week, and they got killed.
Yeah, that's a good point. But now it's for real.
Oh yeah, now it's legit. No, I felt I was kind of torn on this one because of the fact that I never like betting against Michigan in the Big House, especially for Wisconsin, because since I went to school in Wisconsin, I can remember a couple of bad experiences there when they were facing off.
Did you go to the Big House? Did you travel for any of those games?
I did not travel, but I did remember a couple of losses that happened there. But it is worth mentioning that even though the home team is 7-2-1 against the spread in the last 10 meetings, the favorites 5-1 against the spread, and the Badgers are actually 10-1 against the spread in the last 13 meetings. So Wisconsin has done very well against Michigan in the past. And based on Michigan's question marks and Mertz being back for Wisconsin before COVID was arguably a top 6 team in the nation, top 8 team in the nation. Kind of fell down the rankings because of that. They were definitely top 10. So I just think that there's a huge talent disparity, and I'm going to go with Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I didn't mean top 10 as in best 10 teams. I meant according to the AP poll.
The same one that has Indiana as a top 10 team?
Damn straight. Okay. Damn straight. But yeah, Wisconsin was projected to, of course, finish second once again in the Big Ten.
I highly recommend, by the way, if you do get an opportunity to go to the Big House to see a game, that you should do it. It's one of the great venues in all.
I'm going to go. I'm just waiting for Michigan to be good enough for me to go.
How many people are going to have there tonight? Do you know?
Truth is, I'm not fully sure. Let me check that.
Is it just a Verizon night where you have friends and family?
They got cutouts. So if you enjoy cutouts, that's going to be a fun one.
Who doesn't? All right. Well, while you're looking at that, I'm going to go on to my next pick. I'm looking at a little bit of a drop-off in talent from the game that you were talking about there, Scott, as Texas State goes up against Georgia Southern. And a big spread on this one, so I'm going to play the total. I like the under 50. Texas State is a team, they're pretty balanced on offense. They really don't do either thing very well. But Georgia Southern is a team that absolutely looks to run the ball first, second, and most likely third. They run about 80% runs versus 20% passes. The under is 6-1 in their games. It's 6-3 in the Texas State games. You put these together, I think that 50 is a little bit too high. I will take the Texas State Georgia Southern under the 50 points.
Yeah, I think the only way you'll lose that is if Georgia Southern goes off. So I think that you have a good chance to cash that one.
Yep, very good. Did you find out how many people are going to be at Michigan?
I just continue to see cutoff stuff. So I'm assuming that worst case scenario is going to be a very, very limited, or best case scenario, it's a very, very limited crowd. But I still see stuff about cutoff, so I don't see anything about fans.
Mm-hmm. What do you got for your last pick of the day, Scott?
So my last pick, I love the full game on it a couple of days ago, and then the line moved roughly 3 points, which is unfortunate. But I'm going to go with the first half spread here. I'm going to do something differently. It's going to be on NC State. And I'm going to take them on the first half, -5.5, and -115 on FanDuel against Florida State. Florida State is arguably the worst team in the SEC, especially after they lost to Georgia Tech. So you can make the argument head-to-head they're even worse than Georgia Tech. But Florida State has been getting absolutely demolished. And the only reason why anybody thinks this team might not be totally awful is because they pulled off a very fluky win against North Carolina a couple weeks ago. This Florida State team
against Notre Dame too.
Wait, what?
They put up a fight against Notre Dame.
Offensively, yeah, they also gave up like 40-something points. But, if you look at how Florida State's been doing lately, they've lost each of their last 2 games by at least 24 points. They've been awful on the road this season. NC State comes into this game following a very tough loss against Miami, and Miami is a top 15 team in the country. So they arguably should have won that game. They looked
You're
really
a little loose
good.
with those rankings, my friend.
What?
You're a little loose with those rankings. Throwing Indiana top 10, Miami top 15. I'm not sure I agree with either one of those things, but do continue.
Wait, you don't agree with what I'm saying or the fact that they're currently ranked in the top 15?
I don't agree that Miami is a top 15 team.
I'm just saying based on current rankings. I'm saying that they lost by 3 to a ranked opponent who's viewed pretty highly in terms of the public. That's what I'm trying to say. So NC State has faced off against decent competition. They've lost each of their last 2 games as well. They lost to North Carolina, who was ranked, and I'm not sure if they're still ranked. They lost to Miami in a very close game. Florida State got smacked by Louisville, who's also very underwhelming in the conference, by 32.
Yeah,
they lost to Pittsburgh by 24.
The bloom is off that rose, by the way. About 3 weeks ago, we thought Louisville might have had a little something. They don't.
Yes, they are not good, and Florida State's even worse because they lost by 32 in that game. Florida State's been awful the whole year. You thought it would take a little while for Norvell to either put in a system or for Florida State to fully adjust. I don't even know if they're going to adjust. In addition to all of that, you had a couple of people leave the team this week for Florida State, where you had Blackman, the backup quarterback, who left, which makes sense. I don't think he's very good, but he wasn't getting any playing time. The main absence is their star receiver in Terry, who left the team. So they're going to be missing their number 1 wide receiver, and they've scored 16 and 17 points respectively in their last 2 weeks. Now they face an NC State team that scored 41 against Miami's defense last week. NC State also gets an extra day of preparation because they played on Friday night last week instead of Saturday. I think NC State's going to come out and just lay the wood in the first half and the full game, but I don't really want to lay 10 because you get push draws. But I think Florida State, I don't understand if they're quitting on the coach. When you have a couple of people leaving the program midway and your team has been getting killed lately, I don't even think they're going to show up for this game. I think NC State will be motivated and they'll be ready to get the job done. I think they can blow this game open in the first half.
And what do you got in there in the first half minus what?
5.5.
All right. I don't need that. I think this North Carolina State team, they can definitely put some points on the board, so we'll see what happens there.
The question there is, I think NC State against Florida State's defense should score probably by the end of the game 38 or so, probably 24 in the first half. Florida State's offense, which has been inconsistent and now is missing their number 1 weapon, I don't expect them to look too good offensively.
Yeah, fair enough. Scott, I'm looking west for my final play here as we fade a truly terrible team year in and year out. Death taxes and the New Mexico Lobos being awful. And they're matching up. Kind of a bad break for them. They're not able to play in New Mexico due to the COVID restrictions. By the way, there's going to be no fans in the Michigan game. State of Michigan, New Michigan or Michigan State cannot have fans in the stands, by the way.
See, I don't think the big house home field advantage means nearly as much as
no. Oh God, no. When they have 104,000 there,
something like that. It's in the 6 digits.
It's rocking. It is rocking there. So anyway, I've got Nevada minus 17 here against New Mexico. New Mexico, like I said, a dreadful team under the best of circumstances. They're going to be without their starting quarterback. They're going to be without their best running back in Tavaki Teodai. No, that's not even close to.
Close enough.
Yeah, okay. A lot of vowels there, Scott. That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
Best thing about Hawaii is not their language. He's got a concussion. The Lobos are still going to look to run the ball. Good luck. Nevada is a good defensive team and a very good offensive team. They gave up just 210 yards to Utah State. We do know Utah State sucks, but I'm not sure they aren't better than New Mexico.
Carson Strong's probably going to go for at least 400 passing yards.
Carson Strong and Robio Dubs, dude, that is one of the top combinations, probably the most underrated combination of a quarterback and wide receiver in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah, Nevada's been my cash cow this season, so I definitely understand where you're coming from, taking them against one of the worst teams in the entire nation.
Yeah, and New Mexico kind of caught a bad break. I was going to say they can't play in New Mexico. So where do they move their games to, Scott? They moved them to Vegas.
Yeah, a lot of underage kids playing football in Vegas. I'm not really sure what they're going to be doing for their free time, but it sounds pretty fun. So
now they get to play New Mexico. Now they get to play Nevada in a quote-unquote home team.
They're playing Nevada in Nevada, but New Mexico's the home team with no fans.
They're playing Nevada in Nevada. So this is Lobos' defense is not good. And they have a penchant to give up big plays. Scott, they've already given up 8 plays of 40-plus yards in just 2 games.
They blew that massive lead against Hawaii in their last
game. Yeah.
Hawaii's not good.
No, Hawaii is not good. That was probably my 4th best play on the board was fading Hawaii. But I couldn't lay quite that big of a number with San Diego State. Because, San Diego State, they're not going to let many people score, but I'm just not sure they could cover the 10 in the hook. But, I like this Nevada team right here at 17. I would jump on it. I think it's probably going to go a little higher than that. I think by game time, this could be 17.5. I don't think there's going to be New Mexico money coming in.
I think it'll go higher than that. I think it'll probably close around 18 or 19.
Totally. Yeah. Once you get over 17,
all bets are off on how high that's going to go.
Yeah, it can go anywhere between 17.5 and 19.5.
Yeah, and those numbers don't matter unless you take Georgia State last week. Actually, and no, because Coastal ended up winning by 17. But yeah, Georgia State I took 18.5 instead of 18. It won by 18.
So do your recap here. What do you got?
So my 3 picks are going to be in no particular order. USC minus 14. It's available at minus 113 on DraftKings. Wisconsin minus 4 at minus 110 on Fox Bet. And NC State first half minus 5.5 at minus 115 on FanDuel.
All right, and I'm going to counter with the Colorado, not Buffaloes, plus 7.5 against the Stanford Trees. Georgia Southern Texas State under 50, and Nevada minus 17 against the New Mexico Lobos. There you have it, my friend. I feel good. I think this is the week I catch you. I think this is my 3-0 week, buddy. So
we'll see. We're still looking for a 3-0 week. I've had about 5 2-1. So
yeah, we've been the kings of 2-1. So let's see if we can get myself at least be perfect this week and catch you. So we'll see what happens. And with that being said, that's a show, bud. We'll be back a little bit later today doing our NFL show. But yeah, and of course, I recommend it every show, but never do I mean it more than on the Saturday college card. Check out winnersandwhiners.com for deep dives into every game, not just that, but also updates on who's playing, who's not playing, who's been canceled, et cetera, et cetera. Winnersandwhiners.com, your one-stop shop for handicapping information and up-to-date information as well. For myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Whiners, appreciate you guys watching today. Hope you have the best of luck. Not just today, but on Saturday's college card as well. And hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. You guys have been fantastic. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe, of course. And, we'll just do it all again. Scott will be talking about the NFL a little bit later tonight. So we'll see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.